Mm-mm. All right, here we go. Should we pretend we can't hear you? Matt from the last time, I think, right? No, I think I should be hearable now. If I'm right, the sound is good this time, and we just started. Let me check the final stuff out. Yeah, yeah. All right, how have you guys been doing? I see that the first people are dropping in now. In 10 minutes, we have the CPI data. Just joking, yeah. I thought so. In 10 minutes, we have the CPI data coming in. Something I just discussed within the update video was a little bit later with today's update video. Actually, I have the feeling that if I upload a little bit later, more people watch the video, but I'm not quite sure actually. I was a little bit later because it has been a busy day, but like stated earlier, we are looking into today's CPI data. I was scrolling to the X timeline and actually I saw that this is the first CPI data since the government shutdown. I don't know if it's true actually, I can't remember, but today we have the CPI data dropping for the people that might don't know yet. Um, Expectations here 2.7. What makes today's drop a little bit more interesting is of course how the trueflation has been performing, and basically another measure on real-time information, real-time consumer prices and stuff like that. That's what the trueflation actually measures. So it is actually quite a good indication forecasting where US inflation could be moving next. Today we saw quite a large plunge again to the 1.74 level. And yeah, if you compare that where CPI currently is, 2.6 actually, it is of course quite a significant difference what you're looking into. But we are getting the December data. And of course, if we look at into the trueflation during December, we actually saw quite a large peak there. We saw almost a yearly peak in December after we came down in Jan in 2020-25 here. We saw a large peak in December actually, so that makes it interesting. Actually, 2.7 is also the exact expectation, so that would be the peak of the trueflation. If it comes in like that, this data is exactly predicting where the inflation is moving. And if that is the case, we can be expecting a much lower number next month. But let's see how that's going to play out here. 2.7 is the expectation. But we have seen quite some... lately we have seen some data coming in quite unexpectedly and differently than what was predicted beforehand. So it is once again going to be interesting. And it will be dropping in about 7 minutes. Bitcoin today has been quite chill actually. This morning we saw somewhat of a move towards the 92k level. We saw another rejection there. And if you look into the Bitcoin chart, we are also starting to form somewhat of an interesting pattern here over the last few days, I would say. Actually, from off this point, this is the very short-term time frame, of course, but we have quite some interesting tops here. If we zoom out a little bit, this seems to be in play for Bitcoin. So maybe if you break through this zone, we can see somewhat of a continuation after the CPI. Because definitely, maybe for the people that don't know, why the data is once again important, we are getting close to the next FOMC. For the next FOMC, it's expected that the Fed is not going to cut the rates. I will quickly show that with only 5% here. Only 5% chance that the Fed is going to cut rates and 95% that it's not going to be the case the next FOMC. So I don't think next FOMC something is going to happen. So we are looking into the FOMC meetings after that. And for example, for March, we could maybe see a move in those rate cut probabilities, now only also 25. And as the year prolongs and continues, we see high chances coming in of rate cuts. But I think we are looking into the March meeting, the March FOMC. And you want to see the US inflation coming in lower than expected because it gives the Fed room to cut rates. As the labor market is still weakening, the Fed wants to cut rates probably because they want to stimulate the labor market. On the other hand, they don't want scorching inflation. And yes, if the inflation is coming down, there's room left to actually cut rates for the Fed without seeing the inflation going sky high. So that's why we are hoping of an inflation number under the 2.7 here. Under the 2.7. That is going to be the best scenario. And if that's going to be the case, we might see a Bitcoin move up. But it's all going to depend on these odds, I think, for a big part. And yeah, short-term looking, I think we also have this 94k level, of course, which is going to be that big resistance. If we zoom out a bit for Bitcoin, what we're looking into is, of course, here this bigger consolidation phase where we keep getting ejected from off that yearly open. I'll just draw it like this. We have, of course, this major resistance level. Of course, if we could break that level, we are going to see continuation, I'm quite sure of. Because we have a lot of short liquidity actually piling up here above this resistance. So once we do break there, I think we could see a big continuation. But I don't necessarily think this is going to happen very soon. Let's see, first of all, if we are looking bullish, what we can be doing on the 5-minute here at these exact levels. And then we can potentially look into this resistance zone, right? In 3 minutes, we have the CPI dropping. 3 minutes left here. Let me know your predictions in the chat. What do we think? What do we think? I'm seeing in my notifications that gold also just made another crazy all-time high of $87. 20% up year to date. That's quite insane. That is quite insane. All right. Let's see. Let's see. What else do we have? Bitcoin CME gap. If we could see some negative momentum kicking in here for Bitcoin, potentially we are looking into filling the CME gap, but there's still quite a long way here towards that 88k level. But yeah, the CME gap remains to be there. It is important to note. Also here you can see the resistance I was talking about. It seems within the consolidation phase, we're starting to trade in somewhat of a new consolidation phase, which is looking like this, actually. And the CME gap is still laying far below that, ultimately. Because that was quite interesting. We found some support. We filled this CME gap up. We pumped, we filled this CME gap up. And then we did not fill the next. We bounced back up because the 90k level actually seems to be quite some good support for Bitcoin at the moment. Okay, in 1 minute we have the CPI, so I'm going to switch over to exactly this page. And then we can see how the CPI is going to look like. What is it going to be? Looking mostly into the year over year. I think it's the best data. Final expectations, guys. A lot of people say this is quite some important data. There we go. 2.7, exactly like expectations. That probably won't do too much with the market. That probably won't do all too much here. Oh, I see 2.6 now actually. $2.6. Let me see what the exact number is here. The core inflation. Let me quickly see what this means for the market here. Ooh, Bitcoin's breaking higher. Exactly into the resistance we have drawn out. Bitcoin is pumping. Bitcoin is pumping. Okay, so the normal inflation rate came out at 2.7, which is like predicted. And core came in lower than expected. But yeah, it's not much of a difference. So I don't know if this Bitcoin pump will be very long lived, to be honest. I don't know if it will be very long lived. It is getting ejected here. Exactly in the zone we have been drawing out, actually. But usually we do try to fill the wick here. Look at that. Bitcoin is not able to break above so far. Let's see what happens indeed. Let's see what is next for the rate cut in March, potentially. 24 still. Jan, exactly the same. It's not much. Bitcoin is moving back up ever so slightly. But yeah, ultimately, it's not much. I would love to see Bitcoin breaking above here, this white line, because this seems to be somewhat of a range we have been trading in, actually. So if Bitcoin would get rejected here, it would also make some sense to see it potentially dropping back to this 90k level. Potentially. All right, let's discuss some final stuff here. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat now. Make sure to drop them now. Because now I do have some time to answer. We are moving back up here. Quite some insane volatility actually. But yeah, for Bitcoin, we are still looking into the same setup. Break out of this range, which we are getting quite close to actually here now once again. Could potentially set up an interesting short position and move down out of this range. Could potentially set us up for an interesting long position, which I'm still eyeing here. And I will be opening the next trading position on WEEX. So if you haven't checked WEEX out, make sure to... We will have later one for the markup. Make sure to check WEEX out with the link in the description on today's update or live stream actually. Because there you can claim some amazing bonuses on WEEX on the moment actually. And also participate in this lucky draw. Where the first 100 users are going to be eligible for this $500 bonus. And since we don't have such a large community, there's actually quite a good chance you could win here. So make sure to check that one out if you do want basically increased capital to start trading with. Of course, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. You should be knowing for yourself where you do want to be trading at. Will you be live later on for the markup? I guess you mean the Clarity Act, the bill. Is that what you mean? I think that's happening Thursday, right? And tomorrow the Supreme Court, I think, the ruling. Not quite sure. That's what I thought actually. But the markup, if you mean the Clarity Act, yeah, most definitely I will be there. Is this no trading zone? If it is, then what direction is the probability? Yes, yeah, I will be live with the Clarity Act. If there's going to be something to live stream, of course. But yeah, I think I will be there. It is interesting to discuss. Is this a trading zone? Potentially, yeah. Oh, we are getting rejected out of the same region once again. Somewhat of a pump and dump. 92.5k. Potentially, I think we are in somewhat of a new range, like I discussed earlier. So we have the 90k level laying here. Let me draw it out a bit more nicely. Like stated earlier, below that 90k, we have the next CME gap potentially, which we could fill. So maybe dropping below the 90k level, we could be coming close to the CME gap. Ultimately, that would make sense. The Tuesday mark another Tuesday high, filling the CME gap potentially. Could be an interesting position. Now a short towards the 90k level could make sense, definitely. Since we are basically at the top of this new range, which Bitcoin is now trading in, it seems like. But yeah, once you see the breakout, you push through towards 94k, I think. And of course, that remains to be the most important level out of this entire consolidation phase. Once you break 94, you're looking into the 108 maximum. And some other highs you could be taking out along the way, but I think that's what you're looking into. And that is potentially for somewhat of a bigger trading position. Definitely on Bitcoin, but potentially also on ETH. Do you have any positions open? No. I had some positions open. If you do want to know about my positions and when I'm taking it, where I'm updating most of the times is in this trading group. This is my own group. with some other traders. Crypto Rovers also in there, and 5 other professional traders. Here we share most of our setups and short-term trades, also long-term IDs, but most definitely short-term trades. So if you're looking for positions, I would highly suggest checking that out here, Alpha Cartel setup. Then you can get in contact with our team. You can ask some questions, maybe we can help. And yeah, we will also ask some stuff because we do want to keep it high quality, the group, and we want to we only want serious traders in there. So yeah, if you join there, you can get in contact with our team. Most definitely. But yeah, it is somewhat of a tradable zone, I would say. It is interesting for Bitcoin here. What we are now trading mid range, so it's not really an amazing level. Clarity Act Crypto, what's your opinion on it? I think it's super interesting. It's something I've been posting about on X too. I will quickly search for the tweet about it. Um, I did write somewhat of a longer tweet. Where is it again? There it is. On 15 Jan, the Senate is going to vote on the Clarity Act, of course. It aims for killing fake volume, bans wash trading, and prohibits shady reserves. So I think for the market, it's going to be a very good thing. I think what we have seen in 2025 and 2024 was quite unprecedented with the level of manipulation we have seen, the level of extraction actually out of the markets. I think it shocked a lot of people away, and it drew a lot of people away out of the crypto markets. And ultimately, this is something that could help. That basically giving people a little bit more hope that things are getting better, that they can safely be trading crypto. So I think, like I'm seeing a comment here, this rulebook is not going to suck, and ultimately this is going to be something very good and something very positive. Have you heard of Cubic Crypto? Are they going to mine Dodge? No, I haven't heard of it, to be honest. I have not heard of it. Alright, alright. Okay, and that is it going for me. That will be it today for me. 11:11, it did move the market. 11:11? What do you mean? Just doing one quick thing here. Yep, I'm just posting it. Trump is going to make an announcement, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I was just on it, so sorry that I was a little bit focused of posting it, but we have a Trump announcement incoming at 2 p.m. Eastern time, indeed. So that is probably going to cause a lot of volatility. What do you think of the impact of the DOJ take on the Fed? I don't think it's going to be. It's a good thing. It's causing a lot of uncertainty. But on the other hand, if you're purely talking about Bitcoin, crypto, hard assets, gold, silver, it is probably going to be a good thing longer term, because it shows you that there's no one that can directly impact Bitcoin, for example, and other hard assets. But like we can see now, there is a precedent that is able to somewhat affect the chair of the Federal Reserve. And of course, the Federal Reserve is the central bank of the reserve currency, the dollar. So there is somebody and there are people that can directly affect the dollar. And yeah, that will never be possible with Bitcoin. Of course, there can be a lot of selling with Bitcoin, but ultimately it's always there. So it is a good thing if you look in that perspective. But I think on the short term, it's mostly causing a lot of uncertainty, and there's already so much uncertainty within the market. So that's not something I really like to see, honestly. Thank you for your response and all the comments. No, yeah, of course. That's what we are live for. And the market is still quite boring, so why not answer some questions? Yeah. But alright, that's going to be it. I will cap it here for today. I still have a lot of stuff to do, actually. So yeah, I will be ending today's stream. I think we will be back tomorrow with the Supreme Court already. So yes, tomorrow live stream. Of course, another update video in the morning. It really depends on when the Supreme Court is going to be. If it's like midnight, I'm not going to stream. But if it's going to be like a good time for me also, because I have some trouble with the USA time zone, I will be there. So yeah, guys, that was it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are still looking for something to watch, make sure to also come over to the video below here. I've joined your premium kindly. Amazing. Did you just join or a few days ago? That's nice. Welcome, first of all. Welcome. When will you provide the training setup? Yeah, when I see a good opportunity. Could be very quickly. See about exactly that. Okay, thanks all of you guys for watching, and I will see you guys within the next update video and live stream tomorrow. Bye bye.